I wasn't live.
O'er purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain, America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Fisher will now introduce the benediction clergy.
Oh, boring part.
I now call on Rabbi Ari Berman, Pastor Lorenzo Sewell, and Reverend Frank Munn to provide prayers of benediction.
Let us pray. Almighty God, your prophet Jeremiah walked the streets of Jerusalem and blessed its inhabitants with the Hebrew words, Baruch HaGever Asher Yiftach BaHashem. Blessed is the one who trusts in God. Thousands of years later, this great nation, which adopted these words as its motto, "In God we trust," stands at a moment of historic opportunity. Americans are searching for meaning. Our merciful Father, help us rise to meet this moment. Bless President Donald J. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance with the strength and courage to choose the right and the good. Unite us around our foundational biblical values of life and liberty, of service and sacrifice, and especially of faith and morality, which George Washington called the indispensable supports of American prosperity. Guide our schools and college campuses, which have been experiencing such unrest, to inspire the next generation, to pair progress with purpose, knowledge with wisdom,
And Palestinian. Not allowed to see that. I don't know what happened to my stream, so I hope you all watched the ceremonies. I was impressed with Barron. He, when you're that tall, you have responsibilities, and he's so young, but he went across the aisle there to shake President Biden and Vice President Harris's hand. That was a very nice gesture, I thought. the speech wasn't, who's the guy? It wasn't, I forgot his name. It wasn't Kennedy, the speechwriter for Kennedy. I remembered his name a moment ago, but I can't remember it now. Sorensen. It wasn't Ted Sorensen, but it was direct, and I think it was effective. I noticed the Democratic and Republican president could stand up. They stood up at one point only. Otherwise, they sat, I guess, shocked at what President Trump was saying. But I thought it meant a lot that he honored Martin Luther King and promised to, what he said is he wanted to make MLK's dream come true, which I think I think it has in many ways, but I thought that was very important. And we'll see. I don't want to play anymore because they'll cancel this live, I guess. Hey, DeMello, what happened to the natives? Well, I know. He should have said something about. It's hard to include everybody. When you say everybody, it should mean everybody, and he did say that. But it's hard when you start naming to remember to name everyone. Hey, the one. My eyes aren't. My right eye, thank gosh, is very good. But my left eye, it doesn't. I can see, I can see light and this vague world with my left eye, which means I'm safer than I was in terms of getting blindsided. But I can see big, but it's all blurry. It's very blurry. It's very, blurry is not even the right word. It's like it has 2 or 3 layers of curtains in front of my eyesight. Sheer curtains. And so it makes everything. Anyway, it just didn't work for me. I'm one of the ones that it didn't work for, but I'm very grateful I'm not blind. I'm grateful that my right eye works, and that's life in the fast lane. Hey, Eddie. Hey, Red Pepper. Hey, John. Buenas tardes a todos. Buenas tardes, amigo. Mexican for Trump. Waylon and Willie and the boys. This life we're living has us feeling like the Hatfields and McCoys from somebody's train songs to somebody's pain songs and blue eyes crying in the rain. In Lukenbach, Texas, there ain't nobody feeling no pain. I can't remember all the words. Oh, the natives were with the village people, yeah. Well, I don't know what to talk about. I wanted to go through the live with you. It didn't work. I think it's probably would be a shock to everybody's system to start talking about stocks and all that. Let's just see if they show. I guess I can show C-SPAN, which is the most boring, but C-SPAN they can't block me for. I don't think. So there's no sound.
With the strength and courage.
There is
Freedom ring from every hill and every molehill in Mississippi, from every state, every city, every village, and every hamlet. And when we let freedom ring, we
I like this.
gave our 45th and now our 47th president a millimeter miracle. We are grateful that you are the one that have called him for such a time as this, that America would begin
I hope
to dream
they
again.
block the whole thing.
We pray that we would fulfill the true meaning of our creed, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. We pray that you use our president, that we will live in a nation where we will not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, we are so grateful today that you will use our 47th president so we would sing with new meaning, my country, 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and because America is called to be a great nation, we believe that you will make this come true. So let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. Or from the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous hilltops of California, but God, we're asking you not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and every molehill in Mississippi, from every state, every city, every village, and every hamlet. And when we let freedom ring, we will be able to speed up that day where all of your children, black men and white men, Protestant and Catholic, Jew and Gentile, will be able to sing in the meaning of that old Negro spiritual, free at last. Free at last. Thank you, God Almighty. We are free at last. If you believe where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Come on, put your hands together and give your great God great glory.
Almighty.
This is America's tenor. I think we can skip America's tenor. I think we can skip him. Well, he's praying for us to be free. Why would you think he'd say something about naked shorting? I don't personally think he's going to do in any of his executive orders. I don't expect anything on naked shorting. If he were to ban naked shorting, our financial system would collapse. That's my opinion. No one is for the speculators who wish to make money on short squeezes. Everyone is for the large banking institutions who are stealing our money. And that's just how it goes. It's more complicated than that. I can go through it again, but Wall Street is not designed to keep track of any of this. Wall Street's just about gathering assets, placing it with money managers, and it's those money managers who need to create outsized returns by cheating. And it just keeps going on. I don't think Trump's can do anything. As I've stated before, I don't think Trump can do anything on a blanket level. I think if this were presented to Trump as a way of bringing industry and the American dream and entrepreneurship back, by focusing on the micro cap, the over-the-counter, and the NASDAQ markets, which Adina Friedman runs so poorly, I think you could make a difference by eliminating high-frequency trading, by eliminating reg show exemptions, by eliminating the ability to sell without a locate, by eliminating the ignoring of delivery, by bringing back the uptick rule, by requiring all financiers of big deals to be disclosed. Everybody has to be disclosed. And go ahead and do it right down to the smallest investor. Just disclose it. I think you should make it illegal for CEOs to look out for themselves and for the company over the interests of shareholders. I think you should put the lawyers in jail and the CEOs in jail who approve, and board members who approve toxic financing of any kind. I think any investment bank who provides financing should be required to maintain a real market in the security for a period of time. I don't know, 5 years, a year, 10 years. A real market, not phony market makers, but a real market, a trading desk even. I think research should be maintained. And if it looks dishonest to have the company pay for research, the investment bank maybe hires the graduate students of William and Mary Business School, like Mason Business School, to write the reports. But those are the things that need to be done. I don't know what to say about the meme coin. I do notice that they make a distinction between Bitcoin. Somebody did that Bitcoin is a commodity, whereas these other coins are meme coins. I think that's a distinction without a difference. coins in general are keeping money away from real money, real assets, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, unobtainium, for a while longer. But let's see how these coins do when the market crashes. And I'm not calling for a market crash yet. But when it does, let's see what happens. I personally think, I don't know what percentage to give it, but much like all the .com companies, pets.com, everything.com, I think a lot of these coins will be complete losers. Let's go see what's happening on C-SPAN. America's tenor.
His inauguration, saying the special relationship between the UK and the US will continue to flourish for years to come. This is Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. Congratulations, my dear friend, President Donald Trump, on your historic inauguration. I look forward to working closely together once again to benefit both our countries and shape a better future.
And do you notice how these coins come out and the insiders own it? It runs up,
Melania and
we're all excited
on
a
the
lot
second
like
inauguration as
pool
President of the United States.
that
And then one more from social media to show you, it was
existed
right
before
as
the SEC
President
was
Trump was
created.
giving the oath of office that the
Oh,
White
here's
House
the-
website
here's the-
officially changed over. And this is what you will see if you go to whitehouse.gov right now. America is back is the banner headline every single day. I will be fighting for you with every breath in my body. I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's the promise right now at whitehouse.gov.
And also, while a few minutes just before noon, then President Biden pardoned his two brothers and his sister Valerie.
they're
for
innocent.
anything that
Might as
they
well
might be
pardon them.
charged with. He
Pardon
did that
the whole
pardon while
corrupt
everybody
family.
was at the Capitol. This is a live shot of the east front of the Capitol. Marine One ready for the Bidens to take them to Andrews Air Force Base and then off to California for a vacation
Yes, it
following
does
his
to you,
4 years
Chris.
in the White House.
I guess
Well, joining us from
matters
Dallas
to
is
you.
Jeffrey Engel,
What
who
I
is with
saw
Southern
was
Methodist
his wife
University
held
Center
Bible.
for Presidential History. Professor
And
Engel, what's your immediate reaction to Donald Trump's
perhaps
inaugural address?
It sounded remarkably like one of his campaign speeches, and that's very unusual for presidential addresses. Usually presidential inaugural addresses are when the president tries to, reach to the highest rhetoric and reach to the clouds and give a big meaning
But I'm
to
sorry,
what they're
Chris,
trying to do.
that, I'm sorry, Chris, that you I wonder if I could show that to you without the sound. I guess I could. I'll show it to you without the sound because it's just so. Turn that off. That way you can just watch what's going on without listening. I'm sorry, Chris, that it's painful for you that Trump was sworn in. It's been very difficult for people for the last 4 years who believe that the last presidency was only made possible by some really unique activities in the last election. And so we rode out 4 years, literally. I can't name a single thing over the last 4 years that even you, Chris, could be proud of. But, I'm sorry, though. I'm sorry that you feel disenfranchised or ill at ease. I'm sorry about that. I don't think it matters. His hand was up. He was taking an oath. The two Bibles were held right next to him by his wife. I don't think it means anything, but I guess without the mail-in ballots, without the economic shutdown, without the counting, except in California, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona, for the Senate seats and the House seats that flipped Democratic after election night, except for those, this time, real votes were counted, and you just didn't get the election result that you wanted. But I'm hopeful that he keeps his oath. I think he intends to keep his oath. And I don't think it matters that his left hand wasn't, maybe, I don't know, I didn't see it. But you say it was intentional. I guess you're a mind reader. It could have just been a mistake. I don't know how you react when a billion people are watching and you're trying to focus on the words you say. I don't know how you would react. But Trump left his hand off. Well, was it intentional? I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was. Maybe she needed to stand sideways or step forward. I don't know. I think it's still, well, look how nice he was with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden just now. Let's see if we can watch that again. This guy is a complete blowhard. I don't know how to move this forward. But let's just see. Hopefully it comes up again. Just how nice Trump was, gracious with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff. Do I have any stocks? I don't. I tell you one thing. I don't have. I don't have any tolerance for. I'm just going to delete people who are jerks. Not going to even talk about it. All right, so watch what Trump does here, which I think's pretty gracious. Of course, it's probably intentional because he's trying to pull the wool over our eyes, and he's a really bad man. But it might be good. There's Melania standing next to a senile old man, and Dr. Jill Biden. But let's see how Trump reaches out. Oh, it's camera time, I see. There he reaches out with Melania's help and shakes Biden's hand. And then Kamala comes over to go down in history. And he's very gracious with her. And he shakes hands with Doug. She's very lovely. I forget her name. I just can't remember her name. And there's J.D. Vance. You'll see more of Kamala Harris. She'll probably be your president someday. She's a lot like J-Lo. She turned very little into a lot. Yeah, all these meme coins, Mexican, if you're in them, my opinion, get the heck out of them. Take your profit, take the easy money, and get out. Watching for a bounce on Trump coin, yeah. But if you get a bounce, just take that money. That's my opinion. I can't give you advice. And maybe they'll go to the moon and they'll be the best darn thing that ever existed. But popular moods, they swing. It's like dating a beautiful woman. She loves you and she meets another guy. And then when he hurts her, she comes back. That's how meme stocks go. They love you, they leave you, and they come back for a little while. Here comes, that's pretty nice. Melania doesn't really want to have her face in the picture, or it's the wind, maybe. Maybe it's just the wind. And see Trump graciously to Dr. Jill. Gives her a kiss. Dr. Jill is very nice to the peon Melania, who speaks 6 languages, but isn't a doctor of education. And there goes the president of the United States, Joe Biden, directly to a home somewhere in Connecticut to be put on a bed for the rest of his life. Melania looks great. Let me eat some seaweed. There's Melania. 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 God, it's so amazing how I forget how to do things. So amazing. I'm just so bad at doing things on this. Okay, that. Here. Maybe this is what I want to do. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Huh. Here we go. So eat some. That's lucky. I think we were outside the some Islamic educational center, but it was a while ago. His hair was black. But Lucky left us at 5:09 Sunday morning. It's a new dawn. No meme coins. Well, I like that you have several that you're playing. Biden's going to go take a vacation. He needs one. I mean, that was a hard day's work he put in. I'd like to see what his executive orders are. Now, I don't know. The last 2.5 years were stressful for him, and I could have done better. But his last night was very difficult for him. But he seemed like he knew where he wanted to go. Oh, there's going to be a farewell ceremony for them? Thank you, guys. I'm only telling you because he was your friend too. That's what my sister says. That's what my sister says. I wish I could see him right now. Anyway, let's not focus on that. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much to deal with. Thank you. So here's the ceremony for Biden And no, it's not. Those are a lot of repubs. So that's probably not the Biden ceremony. I'd love to see, was it Richard? Yeah, Richard, I'd love to see what the the 200 executive orders are. It says he's going to rename the Gulf of Mexico. Well, you heard all that if you were watching his speech. They're saying Dr. Jill was one of the best dressed. Maybe. I've been seeing some chatter that MMTLP resolution starting point is 1,200 a share. Let's see. We'll talk about that a little bit. I find that really hard to believe. $1,200 times, let's assume there's only 650 million shares out. So that, I think that's low, but 650 million minus 165 million would give 485 times 1,200. That would be $500 billion. $500 billion. That'd be for the fake shares. And then you'd have to add in, so that's 582. You'd have to in 165 would probably get 1,150. I don't know, some number that's less. So you have to add that to the it's almost $800 billion settlement. I don't see it. There he goes. I think Melania is wonderful that she stands by him. Hello? 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 Hello?
Hello? What's happening?
Not much. Did you watch the speech?
I'm in a mall. What are you, nuts?
You're in a mall. Well,
no one's calling me about naked short selling, so I guess he never said anything.
he never said anything about short selling. No.
Did he talk about crypto?
No. He talked about MLK. He talked about America. The decline ends now.
Oh, that's good. But they now, all the stuff that he signed off on goes into action right now?
I don't know if he signed it all. That's where I'm trying to figure out if he's going to change the name of the Gulf to the Gulf of Ham. No, the Gulf of America. He said that, but there was no. He pardoned his family, because his family was innocent. 10 executive orders cracking down on the border.
Oh, he did that already?
Apparently, according to the Hill.
Well, at least he's doing something, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
200
200 is a lot of things to sign, so there might be something in there on the SEC.
I mean, everything he's got to say is done. They went through everything, and now they just give their marching orders. They sign it, go get them, start. You don't think he's ready to start picking up everybody, right?
Yeah.
They'll start flooding them out, and that's it. So that's all good. Let him start there. But he has nothing to do with that. He moves on. He told that guy, that bald-headed guy, Tom, whatever his name is, go get him and don't call me again. That's probably what.
Don't call me again. Yeah.
You better get them all out and better do it as fast as you take whatever resources you have to do and get it done. That's it. Go to the hotels, go to these places where they are, while they're not paying attention, just scoop them all.
A journey. I mentioned in the speech, a lot of people said that was not a journey that was possible, and it was indeed possible. I didn't really know too much about what they were saying when they said that, but a lot of people felt it.
He's talking now.
We hooked up with JD very early. I watched JD over a period of time. I endorsed him in Ohio. He was a great senator, and
he might say
very, very smart. The only one smarter than him was his wife. That was. I would have chosen her, but somehow the line of succession didn't work that way, right? But now she's great and he's great. This is a great, beautiful couple and unbelievable career. I just said to him, you are very upwardly mobile, because he hasn't been doing it that long, but he picked it up so quickly. Remember, the first week was a little bit like the fake news was hitting him really hard. And I said, "Oh, this may be tough."
The beginning
after that, it was smooth sailing for him. He took on everybody. He took on the meanest. I don't want to use the word corrupt because we're into a new system. So let's wait till the corruption begins, because it will. But he took on some pretty mean people, and he handled it well. I want to also congratulate Mike Johnson for the job that he's doing. Steve, we gave him a majority of almost nothing. And then I said, to make it tougher on him, let me take 2 or 3 of the people, right? I said, he'll only have to suffer with that for about 3 months. How are they doing, by the way? Is that moving along?
Totally uniform.
I said, do you mind if I take this one, that one, and a couple of others? He didn't mind. He can handle it. No, he's a man that's liked by everybody. I've never met a man like this. You've got how many is it, 219 or 220 or something? 220. And of the 220, 219 really like him. I noticed he got 1 negative vote once about 2 weeks ago. But I think even 220 like him, if you want to know the truth. And that's very unusual. I know a lot of nice guys in Congress, and they have 35 people that hate him. So if you have 35 people that hate you and you only have 1 or 2 or 3 votes, you'll have 5, I think. But that's going to be like, the good news is when we get to that 5 number, it's going to feel like a massive majority. You could be really nasty to a couple of them at least. Yeah? So it's going to feel like hitting your head on the wall and stopping. It feels so good to stop, but he's done a fantastic job. And Steve Scalise he's our hero, because, I was with him. You talk about being shot. I was with him. He got some bad ones, and his incredible wife, and she really loves him. You never know about that. I've been with other people. They were doing poorly, and the wife is like looking at her watch. She can't get out of the hospital fast enough. How's he doing? I don't know. He's all right. That woman was a mess. She was crying and crying. No, they're going to take him. They're going to take him. I told Steve when he finally woke up, it was a while too. The doctor told me it was the most blood they've ever transfused in any patient. They've never done anything like it. And here he is, the picture of strength, right? And he's been a great friend of mine. right? With a family, because of a family. And what a job you did. It worked out pretty much better than we even thought, right? And I did have a couple of things, to say that were extremely controversial. And between JD and Melania and anybody else that heard, please, sir, it's such a beautiful unifying speech. Please, sir, don't say these things. I said, I'm telling you, it's going to play great. They say, you're right. For this group of people, it's going to play great. You're the only ones I hurt by not, but we had some beauties, didn't we, Melania? She said, sir, calls me sir when she's angry. I said, no, I'm only kidding. I better say I'm only kidding, or the press is going to pick that one up loud and clear. No, but she said, no, I think it would be terrible. It's such a nice speech. I think it's, it all depends on your delivery. How was the delivery? Was it good? But she said it's such a beautiful speech. You can't put things in there that you were going to put in. And I was going to talk about the J6 hostages.
Yeah.
But you'll be happy because, it's action, not words that count.
Yes.
And you're going to see a lot of action on the J6 hostages. See a lot of action.
What about the pardons that Biden did?
And I was going to talk about the things that Joe did today with the pardons of people that were very, very guilty of very bad crimes, like the Unselect Committee of Political Thugs, where they literally, what they did is they destroyed and deleted all of the information, all of the hearings, practically not a thing left. They deleted all the information on Nancy Pelosi having turned down the offer of 10,000 soldiers. You wouldn't have needed 10,000. You could have had 500, and it would have stopped. Because we may have had 1 million people that day, the people that were there. You don't see any photographs, but we have a lot of great photos. But you don't see those photographs. They don't put them in. They show the people at the Capitol. But I was talking about
Good riddance,
that. I was going to talk about that. They said, please don't bring that up right now. You can bring it up tomorrow. I said, how about now in front of I'll bring it up right now.
Good.
This little time delay is good because we're getting great reviews on the speech. Now watch. They'll take the speech and say, I didn't like it because he left there and he's talked to people. We're giving you a little more information than we gave upstairs. But no,
I hope he's in there.
they pardoned a lot of people. They pardoned, before we even get to today, they pardoned, 33 murderers, absolute murderers, the worst murderers. When you get the death sentence in the United States, you have to be bad because they don't give it much. And he pardoned almost everybody having a death sentence. And if you went through the crimes that were committed, you wouldn't even believe them. The level of violence, the people that were killed, the innocence of people that were killed and children killed by these people. And he pardoned them for whatever reason. He spared them, but they didn't spare the people that they killed. And, who knows what happens in the future. It's one of the worst because a lot of times they let them out early after that. They say you're going to be in for life, but then all of a sudden they get let out for good behavior, and then they go on a rampage. It's one of those little things, right? But I was going to talk about that. But I was really going to talk about the level of, what's going on. Why are we doing this? Why are we trying to help a guy like Milley? Why are we doing Milley? He was pardoned. What he said, terrible what he said. Why are we helping some of the people? Why are we helping Liz Cheney? Liz Cheney is a disaster. She's a crying lunatic and crying Adam Kinzinger. He's a super crying. I never saw the guy not crying. He's always crying. I looked at him. I remember years ago, he was actually on my side. And then one day, when you don't want to kill people in wars, they turn against you. Liz Cheney hated the concept of not going to war with everybody. Let's kill everybody. Let's spend a lot of money on military equipment, where her father works, right? And, but what she did was incredible. Think of it. They destroyed and deleted all of that information that went on for almost 2 years against Trump. And the reason they did, because it was all false. Like the person that said, I tried to strangle a Secret Service agent. That's one of the toughest human beings I think I've ever seen. I actually had a friend saying, please don't change that, sir. You are the coolest sucker in history. Remember, she said, I put my hands around his neck because he wouldn't go to the Capitol. Made up fiction. And I was rebuffed. And the guy on the right is a massive weightlifter, probably stronger than me. Do you think he's stronger than me, honey? You know who I'm talking. Possibly stronger than me. Slightly younger than me, like, I won't say how many years because I don't want to talk about that, but a lot of years. But I had a friend that said, why are you disputing that story? That's the coolest story I've ever heard. That I would attack a karate champion, get slightly rebuffed, and then throw my arms around a guy with a neck about this big. Even though there are bars, there are bars, you can't really do that anyway. So I wanted to talk about that. But all of that stuff got deleted. And the reason it got deleted is they were all caught in lies. Secret Service testified and they said it didn't happen. Actually, the two guys were very embarrassed. They're suffering because their friends are saying, did Trump really do that to you? But they gained a whole new respect for me. But it was just make-believe stuff. And there were a lot of make-believe stories made up. So rather than suffer the wrath, like the story with Nancy Pelosi, I offered her 10,000 soldiers. She knows it. She admitted it on tape that her daughter made. She's a videographer or whatever you call her, which I'm glad she is. Oh, she can't be in good stead with Nancy. But Nancy said it was my responsibility as she's leaving the Capitol. She said it was, and it was. She's in charge of security at the Capitol. But I offered them up to 10,000 soldiers, even more. One time I said, more, as many as you need, but you needed 400 or 500. If 4 or 5, you 10,000, that would be more than the number of people there by lot. But we offered her 10,000. Think of it, 10,000 soldiers. In other words, J6 wouldn't be J6. There would have been no J6. But she rebuffed them. She didn't like it. No, she didn't like it. Maybe she wanted that to happen, but she's guilty as hell. And now we would have to go through the process because they destroyed all evidence. They deleted everything. There's virtually nothing left. The other fake story and so many other fake stories. And many people came out on our side, and those people now would got to find them. There's nothing left. So that's a criminal offense. If that were a civil case, it would be a criminal offense. If that happened civilly where you did that, it would be a criminal offense. So I decided I'm not going to make this speech complicated. I'm going to make it beautiful. I'm going to make it a unifying speech. And then when they said we have a group of people that are serious Trump fans, I said, this is the time to tell those stories. He knows. So anyway, but seriously, I'd like to, I think it was a tremendous success. I think we're very lucky we put it inside because it is really cold. We just went to the helicopter out of respect for something that's taken place for a long time. I guess it's as old as helicopters. You used to get into a stagecoach, now you get into a helicopter. Times change. But it's pretty old custom. And it's a beautiful custom, actually. It's a beautiful custom. I wish we could have had a better relationship. I wish we could have had a better relationship between Republicans and Democrats. I was with Senator Schumer. I said, Chuck, I think it's time we all start getting along a little bit because it doesn't make sense. I mean, we literally never get a Democrat vote. They never get a Republican vote, almost. And although there is a bill coming up very shortly that we have a lot of Democrat votes, right? It's going to be a very beautiful bill. We're going to have a deciding, I would say, within a week or so, I think. And it's going to be a very good bill. You all know what I'm talking about. So I just want to thank you all for being here. You have been our fans from day one. All these people all over. You've been our fans. This has been there's never been anything like it. There's never been anything like it. This has been a movement like no movement ever in history for probably any country, let alone this country. You know, if somebody's running for president, and if they go out and they announce they're going to Arizona, they're going to Nevada, they're going to someplace, if you have 200 or 300 people, That would be standard. Ronald Reagan would go out. I mean, outside of the last couple of days where people get a little excited, but even then you have a couple of thousand people. But if you're going to go someplace, any place, any one of the swing states, any one of the other states, I mean, how about the non-swing states? We won Alabama by 48 points. We won Tennessee by massive numbers. Wyoming, we won by numbers that are, nobody's ever seen numbers like that. And, you know, places like California, we did great, but when they send out like 38 million ballots, and nobody knows where the hell they're sending them, and then they come pouring back, the whole thing. You know, they passed a law in California that if you work in an election bureau, and if you so much as ask for a voter ID, if you say, sir, ma'am, could I please look at your voter ID? They have the right to put you in jail. You're a criminal. Can you believe that? There's only one reason that happens. They want to cheat. So they had it where voter ID wasn't accepted. But now if you even ask for it, this is seriously a bill that was just signed, passed in their legislature, and it was signed. And I think when we get things cleaned up and we get back to a little bit of normalcy, I'm going to ask the speaker to really get involved, because I think we would have won the state of California, because, you know, if you look at my numbers with Hispanic, we're at 56%. And we were winning. We won the Texas border that had never been won. As the governor said, he's doing a good job, the governor, by the way, of Texas. But as the governor said, it hasn't. Oh, did I get lucky? Did I get lucky? Supposing I said, you know, he's not here, but the governor of Texas has done a terrible job. Wow, look at you. You mean we couldn't get you up in the front row? I tell you. Supposing I said, JD, the governor of Texas, is not doing his job. You heard what I said. See, I didn't know you were there. I said he's doing a great job. He's doing a phenomenal job. But now you're going to have a partner that's going to work with you, because you didn't have, not only didn't he have a partner, he had people selling the wall, right? We have a fence structure that we worked on, the governor worked on with me. And I didn't love it, to be honest with you. I wanted a nice precast concrete, you know, 40, 50 feet high, like a beautiful, could have been a T-shape, Y-shape. I love construction. I wanted that sucker to go up maybe 50, 60 feet. It would have looked beautiful, a nice Y shape. And they said, the problem is, sir, they climbed that like a rabbit. I said, what do you mean? No way. And they brought some of these guys out. They climbed it like. And the other thing is you hit it with acid and the thing will disintegrate. You know, they have things for concrete. So they needed very hardened steel, very special steel. And then they needed 7,000-pound concrete inside that steel, inside that steel. And then they have a rebar that's the toughest steel made. Very hard to cut. So this is why very little is cut. I mean, it's right. And then they put a anti-climb panel on top. I hated it. I said, it's so unattractive. And I said, why would that work? I don't believe it works. And I went to watch. The Border Patrol gave a display. We had actually 2 sets of climbers. The guys that climb up walls with drugs on their back, I mean, they got like 60, 70 pounds of drug, and they go as fast as you can walk. They go bip, bip, bip. Or we have Mount Everest type climbers. And honestly, the drug guys were much better. I couldn't believe it. The drug guys blew them away, right? But it's true, the anti-climb panel, they couldn't get around it. They just couldn't. When you didn't have it. So sometimes you sacrifice beauty for efficiency. And we did. So we built this wall, and we built over 500 miles of wall. That's why we had such good numbers. The famous chart that came down, very thankfully, the chart that came down on my right, Governor, had I not looked over there, I'm not speaking right now. You might be speaking here. You want to know the truth? You, JD, and we've got a lot of great people in this party, but I got very lucky, but we had the best numbers we've ever had. But I bought, you know, what happens is when you fill it up, it's like water. You fill it up. Now we have 571 miles of wall. And they would always say, you know, when we renovated a wall, so there'd be like a piece of plywood sitting there for 60 years, or a 2x4 sitting for 60 years on the ground and rotting. Because, you know, and they'll say, you didn't build a new wall. Here we're building 50 feet up in the air, 30 feet sections, 50-foot sections, all steel, all concrete, all everything. And all, by the way, they don't even want me to say this, but what the hell, doesn't take that long time. They're all wired for all of the equipment. We put wires in everything so they can easily wire for all the different types of equipment. And if there's a doubt, we have to wire. Whenever we just look, you just find the wires all over the place up top, so we can just hook it up. We don't have to have wires on the outside, which wouldn't do too well, right? So anyway, so we built an extra 200 miles of wall. And the governor wanted to buy it. He tried to buy it, and they wouldn't sell it to him. He wanted to put it up himself. Could have been done in 3 to 4 weeks, 200 more miles. Because when you do it now, they just keep going further out, further out, further out, getting around. So we did an extra 200 miles, and it was all bought. And they announced that they're not going to put it up. And that's when I realized they wanted open borders. And that's when I realized that people are going to come pouring through the wall like nobody's ever seen before, but you've seen it. A lot of you are here because of that. I made it my #1 issue. They all said inflation was the #1 issue. I said, I disagree. I think people coming into our country from prisons and from mental institutions is a bigger issue for the people that I know. And I made it my #1. I talked about inflation too, but you know, how many times can you say that an apple has doubled in cost? I'd say it and I'd hit it hard, but then I go back to the fact that we don't want criminals coming into our country. We don't want the jails of every country in the world virtually being deposited into the United States. And that man had to suffer with it. And he did an unbelievable job. I'll tell you, he was a very popular governor, but now he's like an unbeatable governor because of your border policies. He was fantastic. And he really was. So. Governor Abbott is he's a great man, a great leader. And, but it did make him very more. Did you do it? You didn't do that for politics. You did it because you wanted to do the right thing. But I'll tell you, it sure as hell worked for politics too. It's self-preservation. That's right. But no, because the people are demanding it. The people of Texas are demanding it. The people are demanding it all over. So anyway, so we built it, and they wouldn't let us use it. They wouldn't let the governor use it, and other governors, they wouldn't let him use it. But he was the leader of the pack and did a great job. And then we heard about a month ago that not only wouldn't they let it use it, they were selling it. They were going to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar. Now, 5 cents on the dollar then, but today it would cost more than twice as much to build because we bought it like 6 years ago. And it was just sitting on the ground, and that does not do well for the whole thing. But it was just sitting on the ground, and I heard about it, and I called the governor, and I called a lot of people, your attorney general. And here's the story. They were going to buy it, and these are great business people. They were going to buy it for 5 cents on the dollar or less, and they were calling us up. We'll sell it to you for 200 cents on the dollar. In other words, it will cost you twice as much, so it's 200 cents on the dollar. I said, can somebody explain that to a judge? I mean, how corrupt is that? You'd think they'd say, maybe we'll sell it to you for 20 cents, 30 cents, but not 200 cents. So they were going to buy something for 5 cents, and they were going to sell it to us for a fortune. They were going to make it would be, they'd have it down at, in Fortune magazine, they'd put it of the deal of the year, okay? You buy something like that. But it was so corrupt and so horrible. And when we told that to the administration, they didn't care. They just kept going forward. They couldn't care less. And they kept going forward. They knew that they were trying to sell it back to us. They would have sold it back to us. You would have ended up buying it. You would have paid probably 50, 60 cents, who knows. But they were going to use it for scrap metal, but then they made a much better deal. They could just buy it and sell it to us for 15, 20 times what they paid. 20 times, think of it, like 20 times what they paid. And we wouldn't let it happen. And the governor with his attorney general, Ken Paxton, he made a fantastic, a good lawyer. He's pushed around pretty good by people, right? They said, you got a great attorney general. They should leave him alone. He was with me. But Ken and the governor went to court, and a judge actually became incensed and actually called for an investigation. How could a thing like this happen? So he stopped it. So we're waiting to put that wall up. And now that you have a new president, that wall will go up so fast. The governor will complain, sir. This is Greg Abbott, sir. Please, the wall is going up too fast. Please don't do that. You know the story about winning. No, we're going to win too much. We're winning too much. Please stop. People always love that one. We'll do this with the wall. Governor Abbott calls, sir, the wall is going up too fast. We can't take it. We just can't take it. No, I think you'll be very happy if the wall goes up too fast, right? But we'll get that dude and we'll work with you on that. But it was a great decision by a great Texas judge, right? And it was beautiful to watch. He stopped them right in their track. I mean, they were literally loading this stuff onto trucks. It was terrible. Honestly, it was terrible. And he wouldn't take it. So I'm so glad I mentioned that they have a really good governor in Texas. And I swear, I didn't know he was here. I swear to you, it sounds like a setup. I didn't know you would end. Did I get lucky? I said the right thing. Because there have been moments when I wasn't so happy with him, you know? But not too many, I can tell you that. So anyway, it's good to see you too, Governor. Great. But I just want to thank everybody. You've been incredible. I recognize so many of you. It's so crazy. But this has been a long journey. This was a journey that started in 2015, probably started 20 years before that. People used to say, you're going to run for president? You're going to run? And I always said, no, I don't want. And then one day I said, let's give it a shot. And what I talked about then was the border too. I think it probably was the number one issue for me. Back in 2015, 2016, I talked about the border. And now I talked about the border, but this border is much worse. We fixed the border. It was totally fixed. There was nothing to talk about. 2020, by the way, that election was totally rigged, but that's okay. It was a rigged election. You know, the only thing good about it, it showed how bad they are, showed how incompetent. And frankly, historically, this is a much bigger event. If that would have gone like it should have. The bad thing about it is some bad things happened, like a lot of people in our country that wouldn't be in our country right now. So, you know, that's the bad part. But I will say that it started in 2015, and right from the beginning, we went to the top. That day one, they announced Trump, and Trump went to number one and stayed there for the whole primary. And then we took on Hillary. She didn't look too happy today. We took on Hillary. A very nice person, but we took on Hillary and we defeated Hillary, and then we did much better the second time in 2020. You know, we got millions more votes. We got millions, like 10, 12 million more votes than we did the first time. No president has ever gotten that many more votes. I got like 9 million more than anybody else had ever gotten. And they said we lost. And because of that, I said to Melania, what do you think? And she said, you want to do this again? And had we lost, and had I thought we lost, I would do it again, because that's like the ultimate poll, right? But I knew how well we did. And this time we made it too big to rig. It was so big. They tried like hell in the butt. They tried to do it. And around 9:02, they gave up. Last time they did bad things. At this time, they just said, yes. You know, I don't know if you saw, Mr. Speaker, in Washington, they had placards. They were all set to march. They thought it'd be closer. A gentleman asked me, a very respected gentleman asked me yesterday, how come the polls were so wrong? They showed you winning, but not in a landslide. I said, because people that are true Trumpers are so angry at the whole polling system and at the writers, the fake news, that they don't want to talk to anybody. So when you call somebody from Trump, who are you voting for? They say, it's none of your business. I'm not telling you. And that was probably 40% of the people they called. So they would discard that one, and they didn't show that. And then when the election happened, you know, the vote came, and it was much different, much higher than we're going to win, but they really thought, they couldn't believe the one man said, I mean, it was so much higher. We won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by millions of votes, which is hard for a Republican. I'll tell you who came through. The unions came through. The auto workers were great. The Teamsters were great. The firemen were great. I think almost every union was great. The only one that weren't great, although Sean was great, and the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, the head of the Teamsters, was fantastic. But generally speaking, the head of the union was against Trump, but the union would be with us for like 85%. Look what we did with the auto workers in Michigan. Look what we did with the Teamsters. The Teamsters were unbelievable. They were a solid Democrat vote, and they voted for Trump. So we had a great experience. This has been, now we have to go to work and get it done because we have to do something that's going to be great. We're going to turn our country around, and we're going to turn it around fast. And I think this was a better speech than the one I made upstairs, okay? I think this was better, JD. I think this was much better, and I got to see my friend. So, Governor, take care of yourself. You call me, we'll start working. You know what that means with him? He's going to be calling me tomorrow morning at about 6. And I said, how about next week? You call me and we're going to get it started real fast. We'll really help you a lot. You've done a fantastic job protecting something which is, it's not supposed to be for the states. And amazing job you've done. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody. And I have a first lady who's been incredible. She's been incredible. I shouldn't say this. I'm going to get hell when I say this, but her feet are absolutely aching. You know, those heels. And we thought we were leaving. We were going home. Sir, would you be able to go down and say hello to some of your other fans that are here? I said, oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Did you get to see pretty clearly the picture, I hope? Good. That's good. But because you wouldn't want to make the same speech again, right? But she said, darling, I love you so much, but my feet are killing me. I said, honey, let me just see how far was I asked the person. Oh, not that long, maybe 400 or 500 yards. That's 5 football fields. I said, can you make it? She said, we're going to make it no matter what. We're going to make it because we have to go. Right? Right?
He's the best.
And then we went out to the helicopter just prior to this and said goodbye. And it's a custom. And the wind is blowing like crazy. And with the hat that she's wearing, she almost blew away. We almost lost off. She was being elevated off the ground. She almost blew away. No. So we all appreciate it because you've been a great first lady, a beautiful and a great first lady. And they love our first lady. You know, JD, whenever I make a speech, I see hundreds of times, we love our first lady. We love, and they do, and they should. She's great. So I just want to thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to thank everybody. And I felt that I said to JD, should we give him the A treatment, the B treatment, the C, the D, or the F? You know what the F is?
Long-winded.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye. I gave you the A+ treatment. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Governor. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
So Simple Life, you know, it's funny. The one thing for the last couple of days, everywhere I go, I think of walking with him. But the other thing I think of is how rapidly he declined. Because I guess I stopped. I stopped noticing it or something. But those walks you talk about, I haven't been able to take him on a walk like that probably in 3 or 4 or 5 months. I don't know. I'd have to add it up. But just yesterday, you know, it's like that song, Since You've Been Gone. What is it? It's been 7 hours and 15 days since you've been gone. go to a fancy restaurant. For a long time, I didn't go out because I came home to see him and I didn't want it. It distressed him so much. So I'd stay home. And so the last 2 nights, I couldn't, it was the opposite. I didn't want to be home all alone. So I went out to sit and have something to eat outside of my house. But what I remembered as I was walking to these places is how many times I walked Lucky along that street and where he liked to sniff and where and how he loved to go in and say hi to people and get treats. And it's anyway, I won't talk about it anymore. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's missing from my screen. I guess I took him down. I didn't mean to take him down. I didn't mean to take him down. I'll figure out how to do that again. This is turning out to be my lunch. I think we can turn off the TV show. Talk about other things. I'm about to throw this away. But on November 7th, I was saying bye Nixie at 282. And it shows here, I bought 297 basically at 304 for myself. That's how much I bought, according to this. I sold that. I guess I didn't double my money. I sold it at around 5, a little, give or take. And I bought RAILF, RLAIF. But I think you need, if you own Nixie, and that was the reason I was recommending it, that support area. This is an old chart. But I think my view of what's happened for the last Christmas week, New Year's week, or Hanukkah week, I'm not trying to be. So let's say the holiday week, New Year's week, Jimmy Carter week, then this sort of in-between week, and now Trump's inaugural. Biden is gone. I think maybe people are going to go back to work. And so anyway, I don't know that Nixie's going to run. I was correct, I think, in letting you know that it would pull back. Right now, I don't think I own any, which it's just I'll have to be in the audience, but that doesn't mean I don't wish I owned it. I think Nixie's going to, I still think Nixie is sexy Nixie. Is it this coming week? Is it February? I don't know, but I think it's pretty soon. So get ready to watch Nixie and take money off the table and trade it. Yeah. Well, this is old news. I'm not going to go back through that. And it has only 13 million shares outstanding, although that might have changed. Just to show that my analysis isn't always right. Well, I don't know. This was finger. I just found this. I said it was going to see that horizontal line there. I said it was going to go up to that. And that was I think that says 260. My eyesight's not. But then I said it could approach 3 in a spike. Maybe it did get up to 260. I don't know, but it didn't stay very long on finger. So charts, I guess, are ephemeral. There's a chart of Nix. I had it going to 550. Did it get to 550? Then I had it going to possibly 8. That first yellow line, I think, is 550. It might have gotten up there. But I don't think that story's done. And then this is Nixie's news. Just got to have it acquisition. This is November 1. But the market size of this wholesale gifts industry is 24.5 billion. And this company Nixie bought, or is reversed into, just got to have it, uses a 30-year-old sales application tool. And what's coming in is this Radix AI, which comes from the Logic constellation of companies. And so they're going to introduce a next generation order management system, automated platform for onboarding brands and stores, and an online marketplace, user-friendly for small businesses. You know, this is all just marketing words, but words have meaning. And basically, as I see it, it means that here's the 3-year plan. See it down here, 3-year plan, targeting an enterprise value exceeding $1 billion over 36 months. Sectors where the technology can enhance efficiencies. They're looking for 40% margins like they experience. Well, what if that happens more quickly? That's kind of my theory. I might be overly optimistic. So anyway, let's get back to watching Nixie now that vacation is over. The other one is Nexttrip, NTRP. NTRP. I thought I was going to be able to do an interview with the CEO, but it just never happened. Sorry, it's cold. My hands are cold. So let's start watching NTRP this coming week or next week, you know, the coming weeks. And then RLAIF, I also, RLAIF. I don't know when, if anything will happen soon. I thought RLAIF was breaking out by the charts, and it looks like it, you know, I counted it 3 times, and I guess it's pulling back, so it'll be the 4th time if I'm right. And then I heard interesting things on Finger. We'll see. Next time Ham is free to talk, I'll let him say whatever he wants to say. So Finger might be, basically my theory is people are back to work now. Well, I hope I gave him a good life. I know I gave him, I'm not so sure about the last couple of years, but his life narrowed down. I mean, we used to be able to walk for treats. We could go down, I don't know, 10 blocks and turn around. But his life narrowed down literally. The last day, we walked to the end of the block where he pooped, which was interesting. So I got a bag of his poop, but I left it outside because I didn't want to bring it inside. So I threw that away yesterday, his last poop. But he only went to the end of the block and back. And then or maybe we went down and around and cut through the alley. But then at the end, he flopped down. About 4 nights ago, because I brought my mattress upstairs so he could sleep with me because he can't go down the stairs. But even that, 7 inches, 8 inches, he couldn't go up anymore without huge efforts. And just a handful of nights ago, I think it was before my eye operation, he made the effort to come up on the bed and he slept on my legs. And I didn't want him to move, but eventually I had to move my leg. But he slept on me for a couple of hours, I think. And maybe that was his way to say goodbye. I don't know. I miss him. All right. So I don't know what else to talk about. I want to talk about silver. I know you guys are going to be all hepped up on Bitcoin and all the coins and the XRPs and all of them because you think this is the quick path to riches, and it may well be. But I think it's going to be volatile. And I think your goal over the next 6 months, maybe 9 months, I think we're going to have a market that goes to the moon. It's just going to feed on itself. But I think your goal should be to try to acquire as much real money as you can. And by real money, I mean gold, silver, possibly platinum or palladium fit that. I don't know if those fit the definition of money, but they certainly fit the definition of unobtainium. I think silver is going to be unobtainable. And it'll be the front page story, much like Bitcoin is now. And Trump's meme coin. I think silver will be unobtainable at some time in the very near future. Oil and gas is going to come back like a sumbitch. It's going to come back with a strength that you can't imagine. Why? Because I think even though prices will be coming down, I bet the incentives, the money going toward it, the leases available, I think there's a wall of capital ready to come in. All those geniuses who manage your money, they're gonna fall all over each other. They'll come up with new terms. I was just looking at my notes, and where did I put it? I hope I didn't throw it away. I'm throwing a lot of things away. Of this company that I sat in with the management back in August, and they were talking about the Three Forks in the Bakken. Well, guess what? That's hitting mainstream media now. I think there's going to be fortunes made in the Bakken. Fortunes, bloody fortunes. Thank you, Catherine. That's awfully kind of you. He was a good boy. One of my neighbors wrote to me and said he truly was a good boy. And I think that's right. He was, ever since I had him, from the first time he came over and picked me out, he always tried to be a good boy. The only time is when he would get, every now and then he'd make a bad decision, but he'd recover from it as soon as I stopped him. I mean, he ate one of my brand new best pair of leather shoes, and I got mad. That was when he was a puppy. But he never did it again. But you know what? I didn't need those shoes anymore. They were never comfortable to wear, so I didn't need them. How do I think Nextbridge will fare? Could I excuse myself quickly? My eye is hurting, and maybe an eye drop would help. This is the antibiotic. Let me just try to get an eye drop in there. It might be that I was trying to read. Okay. Nextbridge is a story of probably 3 or 4 themes. Obviously, there's the whole MMTLP, Torchlight, criminal, and I think criminals are trapped story. The criminals are trapped. From information I've received, the criminals, some of the people you listen to on your Twitterati spaces, the criminals and their cohorts are threatening employees, people that work in the Texas University lands. They are doing anything they can do to make sure that Nextbridge goes bankrupt so they can close out their massive fraud that no one cares about. But you know what? I don't think they're going to be successful. The one person they have in there working in their favor, whether he's doing it with them or he's just a dupe, I don't know. But I think Johnny Tobacco has this campaign to get Nextbridge trading on blockchain. I think that would be a disaster, because as soon as it trades, they'll create derivatives. And I'm just going to say it without looking it up. I think Archimedes said with a big enough lever, you could move the earth, but maybe it wasn't Archimedes. With the leverage of derivatives, you can move the price. Whether or not you can track every trade, you can move the price. Look what they do with physical silver and physical gold, physical oil and gas. In the American system, prices are on the margin. They're not any more complicated than that. It's all determined by supply and demand on the margin. So anyway, that whole issue, I think you can only resolve by moving your MMTLP, or if it's called something else at your brokerage firm, move it to physical shares. I personally don't see a big settlement in that. I love reading, somebody just said that he's hearing $1,200. I love that. Those are numbers that I came up with early on, and I think they're justifiable, but anyway, that will resolve itself one way or the other. You know, I am still willing to do work, but there's so many people doing work that we'll see how it goes. The second part of Nextbridge is the leases of the Oro Grande. And like I say, the criminals are tortuously interfering in that space as well. My understanding is the company was ready and extended a very generous offer to renew those leases. And those liars and thieves and cowards and criminal elements went after those contracts, and they were successful so far. So the question is, will they be successful with stripping Nextbridge of its Oro Grande assets for the long term, and therefore getting Nextbridge bankrupt, which is exactly where the criminals want it to be? Or will Nextbridge somehow reclaim those assets, acreage in full? Or thirdly, some in between. Maybe they can only get partial ownership, or maybe they have to JV with a company that's not called Nextbridge to go in and just buy up some of the honey spots. That will be resolved, and I think that'll take time. I think it'll take legal machinations. I think the criminals who you listen to on Space Calls will be aggressive. They are paid off, and they don't quit, and they don't care. They sound like they care, but they don't care. They love to argue. Arguing is what they do best. They love to change the subject to your opinion being that emotional opinion, bad motives, whereas their, frankly, opinion is the truth, and it's factual, and they're just seeking a common ground. They're all criminals, but they will continue to fight hard. But I think they've run up against a guy who's healthy, who's been in oil and gas a long time, has his own wealth, has a loyal investor base. And I think he's going to avail himself of attorneys to and deal-making skills he has to get it done, where Nextbridge ends up with some or all of the Oro Grande asset with tremendous upside back in their control. But again, that'll take time. So those first two elements, whilst we can give it effort, they're really out of our control. They're really out of our control. The third thing is that the CEO does have deal flow. And particularly in the southern Louisiana area that he's going after, deep wells for natural gas and for oil, these, even with 5%, 7%, 10% interest in these wells, these can be company makers. And all you have to do is find a major or an independent to partner with, and they'll drill these wells, which are very deep, very expensive, but you retain your interest. And I think under Trump's strategy of drill, baby, drill, these are conventional targets. He has many of them. So one of the odd things is if you, let's say you have a dozen targets, you would think, well, one of them's going to hit or two of them are going to hit. Well, the weird thing about odds is each well probably has historically, if from a financial standpoint, they're called wildcat wells, and they could be 5 to 10% odds of hitting. Some people might give it a little more than that. So just because you have 12 of them, for example, it doesn't mean, maybe as you start, your odds of hitting might go to 20% or 30%. But as you drill each well, it's only 5 to 10% odds of success. Now, there are geologists who, and if you have seismic, and if you have, I hate this word, closeology, and you have other wells maybe that drilled and failed nearby, but you can use the data. There are geophysicists and geologists who will say, I give it much higher odds than that. But anyway, that aspect all in of Nextbridge, the drilling particularly in southern Louisiana, I think has the chance to make Nextbridge an extremely valuable oil and gas asset. And I guess the last thing, the fourth thing that Nextbridge does, which you've picked up on, is Nextbridge has a management team. They have it's smaller now that the criminals have gone after it, but they have a knowledge base, judgment, wisdom. And as these red sock, pinky finger boys and girls out of New York and Chicago and elsewhere, San Francisco, seek to invest money, there won't be enough places for it to go. And I think it will help Nextbridge enormously to partner up on other projects, be the management team while some fund out of New York City is the money. And so I think the future for Nextbridge is very bright. Now you're going to say, well, they're suing Greg McCabe for some sort of violations, I suppose. But well, again, that's out of our control, and I don't know that he did anything wrong. I do know that the SEC is set up to go after CEOs. It's not set up to go after Stevie Cohen or Kramer or Easton or Rubenstein. It's not set up to go after those guys. They go after CEOs. That's what they're trained to do. Terrible, terrible organization, the SEC. Don't cry because it's over, but smile because it happened. I do. I try to smile for a while. And let's be jolly. Life shouldn't be so melancholy. Come along and do something while we can. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's gotta be a little rain sometime. Oh, 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 oh. I know, Henry. Thank you. He would have loved meeting all of you. At what point will shareholders make money on Nextbridge? Well, you don't know that answer. In a normal market, which this is what I think Trump should address, is the small cap, micro cap, NASDAQ markets. Get rid of Adina Friedman. She's completely incompetent or corrupt, one or the other or both. But it used to be, Richard, that a stock price could get ahead of itself, like a Nvidia, a Facebook, an Amazon. And if you think those prices are justified, I think you're smoking pot. But it doesn't mean they won't go higher. They could go much, much higher. But they're all out of whack. But what it allows Microsoft, I think it's Microsoft to do with this enormous stock price, is they can make an acquisition a day and buy up technologies, particularly in a market where everyone's starved for capital. So the bankers make money. It's all set up for the bankers. What used to happen is, let's say, a Nextbridge oil and hydrocarbons could be sitting there on a project that they barely had any data on, barely had any prospect of drilling, and barely had financing, and all of a sudden a bull market could hit, and the stock goes from $2 to $30, and the company could quickly raise money, and hey presto, the money they raise became self-fulfilling because they sold stock as currency and bought an asset, or they sold stock for money and bought into an asset. That's not there right now. That's not there right now. Hopefully it can come back. My feeling with Nextbridge, they do have to fight this legal battle against the criminals. But my feeling with this Southern Louisiana drilling, and I'd like to learn more, and maybe I will, but he seems to have a pretty good strategy down there. He's seeing deal flow. He's using his own money and investors' money to buy into the deals, then flipping it to get the money back out. And I don't think he's taking a profit. He's just giving the upside to Nextbridge. But anyway, then Nextbridge gets to hold 7%, 20%, or they get to hold all of the deep zones or 50% of the deep zones. And I'm talking net of the burden, whatever the burden is. There's usually royalties that you have to take out first. But of the available interest, or put it another way, of the working interest, he's able to keep a big part. And every deal's different. So your question is, how quickly could that happen? I think very quickly. Now, that my definition of very quickly might be different than yours. But I would imagine if he finds a JV partner, or the others in the project find a JV partner in one or two of these southern Louisiana wells, Louisiana is a friendly state for oil and gas. I think they could permit, hire the crew, get the rigs, and spud, I'd say within 6 months. By summertime, you could see one or two wells being drilled. And then you're going to say, well, will that make the stock go up? In a normal environment, yes, but nothing's normal now. The criminals suppress the price because what they want companies to do, and that's why Johnny Tobacco's strategy is so risky. They want the company to need to raise money at low prices per share. So even if a well found several TCF, I don't know what would be a big well, 20 TCF. I don't know if that would be possible. But if a well came in gangbusters, the need to raise money would eliminate the value on a per share basis because they would keep the price down. What would change that, ironically, is if Greg shoestrings it, and I mean that in the politest sense of the word, and they get one or two of these drilled, you could suddenly add billions of dollars, literally billions, hundreds of millions or billions of dollars to the asset base of Nextbridge without raising any money. Boom, happens. And then the criminals are really well and truly skewered. If they spud a well 6 months from now, I think it would probably take 3 to 4 months to get to total depth, to TD. If it were successful, you might not find out about it right away because they might have other locations that they want to drill or lease up. On the other hand, if it were successful, the people on the rig wouldn't be able to keep their mouth shut. And I think before the end of the year, you could see dramatic news. So I'd say within a year. And to me, that's very short term for a private oil and gas company. I would say within a year is possible. And how much could they make? I think it could be $20, $30 a share if with success, but it's high risk. These are wildcat wells. These are exploratory wells, but they're not going to, their JV partners are not going to drill a well just for the hell of it. They're going to have a pretty good sense of the science and of the seismic and what happened nearby. And it can change the company overnight. Will the S1 give? I don't know what, frankly, I don't know what you're talking about. I guess I didn't listen enough to Junk Savvy. I'll have to try to find out. But my opinion, no, it will not give any valuation. There's nothing to value. There's Nextbridge. Look, there's no analysts that follow it. There's no stock market. There's no buyers other than ourselves. The criminals are doing everything to interfere, and they're successful so far. But I don't see any value. Nextbridge owns their knowledge of and their seismic in the Oro Grande. What's that worth? They might have given it away for free in their data rooms. I don't know. But what's that worth? In the current environment, pennies per share, pennies per share. That can change with success, but I wouldn't think it's worth more than pennies per share. What do they own really that they control? Very little they control right now. So I think the Oro Grande is essentially worthless. I think the pending MNTLP legal action is so unknowable and so indeterminate as to reward and timeline to be worthless and maybe a cost. And I think the Southern Louisiana projects, whilst really exciting, they suffer from two or three things. One is the Biden administration. Two is the wokeness and the idiocy of the young people coming out of mostly Boston and New York schools to manage money actually believe that we're going to stop using oil in 10 years. So the reserve targets of these projects are given very small economic values, because even if you discover oil, they'll give it a 10-year life or a 7-year life. And that has to change. I think it's going to change quickly with Trump, but right now it's still in the factors. The whole idea that oil is the problem for climate change. I think it probably contributes, oil and natural gas, but I think coal is, if you want to target something, target coal to leave the coal in the ground. I also think the nuclear industry is not carbon neutral. I think it spews off a lot of carbon, particularly when the plants are being constructed. Cement is a highly greenhouse gas creating item. So what are the leases in Southern Louisiana worth right now? I'd say what the most recent transactions were, and at best, maybe that's worth $1 or $2 a share, but I don't think you'll see that in the S1. All of this, Richard, all of it, I'm telling you, can change overnight. It's the only industry in the world where one well, one drill bit can change the fortunes of a company or the valuation of an asset literally in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Of course, there's a lot of buildup to that, a lot of speculation and investment prior to that. Oh, I'm sorry that you lost your dog. Yeah, I've told you I like XRP. I don't really add anything if I talk about it, other than when I looked at the chart. All right, it's 2:48. And right now I'd be telling you I have to go walk my dog, but I don't. I don't have to walk him. But I've been on for a while, even though it was very ineffectually. So I think I'll sign off unless there's questions. I'm willing to go to 3 o'clock. These stocks we've talked about this last month or two, I would pay close attention to all of them, because I think oddly, this last holiday season extended from Friday the 20th all the way till today. I think it's been a month-long vacation, or half-hearted work environment. So I think that everybody's coming back to play tomorrow, and I think you could see movement. And I also think the stock market itself could see huge movement to the upside over the next few weeks and months. I don't know if I am, but I appreciate it, Barbara. I sure hope Lucky thought I was good. He was good. He could be goofy too. He could be goofy. He used to have so much energy, so much power. He had a lot of power the night he died. He still had a lot of power. He was determined, I think, to die. I think he wanted to go. I couldn't stop him. All right, I don't see any questions. So let's enjoy Inauguration Day, and we'll probably. I have an eye appointment late tomorrow morning, so I probably won't be coming on until 2:30, 3 o'clock at the earliest. So sorry about that, but I have to go again for this eye. But thanks for joining in. Thank you for everybody for saying what you said. It helped me just to talk to you about it. I miss him terribly. But like somebody said, I feel very fortunate to have had him too. It was a blessed life. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and thank you for loving Lucky. He was a good boy. I don't know why he's missing up here. I guess I gotta figure out. I must have hit a button. Yeah, it's all right. I don't know. Yeah, God. Oh, look at that guy. Yeah, God bless him. I think it might just be my 5 a.m. mindset. And I was so tired. I actually went to sleep for 10 minutes. I was just so knackered, but I felt like he sighed at the end, like he always did. But he sighed, and I think he was at peace. I think he was happy that he made it. God, I loved him. He's a good boy. Yeah, lucky boy. Oh, there's those cats coming after him. He used to get all worked up with cats, mostly out of curiosity, not out of any hatred. Yeah, I know. All right. Well, 2:53. Oh, you're so kind, Barbara. You're so kind. He was a there he is. That's when he was younger. Always curious, always ready to play. It's hard to tell on his white side. He had like a liner around his eye, so it made him handsome. He was a goofball. He was a good boy. That would be nice. That would be nice. That would be nice. I heard if you get a new dog, that your old dog sometimes comes to visit. He was a gift, and I wouldn't have made it through this time without him. So, oh, Danny, I'm so sorry you had to do that. So sorry you had to do that. That's tough. It really is tough. Somebody told me at least I didn't have to do that. And I guess that's true. I don't think it's any easier. There's still guilt. I just hope he's happy. I hope he's running around in green fields and with all his buddies. I just hope he's happy. Oh, you had a Boston Terrier? No, those are good dogs. Those are good dogs. They always look up at you like you're doing something, like they're a little skeptical of what you're saying. Or they're great dogs. Very handsome. Yeah, I know. Thank you. All right, 4 minutes. I might just sign out now, but there's 4 minutes to 3 o'clock. Novak Djokovic at 4 a.m. is playing Carlos Alcaraz in the the quarterfinals, not the semifinals, the quarterfinals. And I watched Djokovic play Marchik, and I got to tell you, for the first time, I think there's a way of attacking Djokovic, and it's the drop shot. I do not think he's as fast as he used to be from the baseline to the net. So I expect that Carlos is going to use a lot of drop shots, and that might just turn the tide to Alcaraz. But I'm still hopeful that Djokovic can beat the young upstart. But what a tough Sinner's playing a bunch of nobodies. And Djokovic had 2 matches that were tough to start with, but that happens. But then he had to play the 2 Czech players that are both amazing. He beat them. Now he plays Alcaraz. If he beats him, he's got to play Zverev. If he beats him, then he has to beat Sinner. What a draw. But if anybody can do it, 37-year-old Novak Djokovic can do it. Yeah, they have big eyes. They do. That's what I'm hoping. He is no longer in pain. And he's not limited. He can run. But I think he wanted to go. I think he didn't want me to stop him. And so I think he was happy at the end. Oh, you had a blue pity? Aw, sweetheart. She loved you. I wonder, I hope he loved me at the end. It's been 15 hours and 7 days. All right, one more minute. I think I will wish everybody a good day, and we'll talk maybe late tomorrow, unless my news is bad on my eye, which it could be. And I look forward to see what 200 executive orders Donald Trump signs, and it's going to be interesting. But start paying attention to these stocks, all of them. They could come to life as soon as people get back to work, which I think's tomorrow. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we'll all say good night. Good afternoon to Lucky boy. And I wish each of you a dog running up to you, jumping up, wagging his or her tail at you. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.